everyone, today we're discussing 2.9, the Bill of Rights, and the objective for today is to explain how the Bill of Rights ensured the ratification. Another word for ratification is to pass the U.S. Constitution. So when we discussed in the last lesson, we discussed Hamilton and a little bit about Federalists. And Federalist was anyone who believed in favored the Constitution as it was, they believed in a strong central government, and the reasoning for that was because they knew that they needed a central government to manage trade, to deal with foreign affairs, and to provide a national defense. So in other words, a national army. But they also wanted to encourage economic development, especially Hamilton. And wanted to be able to provide what we call government sponsored improvements. So today those would be like improving the roads or building schools. And the individuals that supported this was Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay were the three most popular Federalists for their time. So if you take a look at our little cartoon over here, I think it really does a good job of summing up the debate between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. To the left, we say a Bill of Rights protects people no matter what class or situation. And so we would call these individuals the Anti-Federalists because they really wanted a Bill of Rights to protect your freedoms. They were super fearful of a strong central government. However, the Federalists would argue that you don't need it because you already have all those rights in the Constitution as it is. But then they end up saying, okay, if it makes you happy and you'll vote with this, we'll add it. So this was the argument of the Federalists. You don't need it, but if this is what we need to do to get it passed, then we'll go ahead and add them in there. So some of the most famous Anti-Federalists were George Mason, Patrick Henry, and Sam Adams. And the Anti-Federalists were opposed to a strong central government, and again, their main concern here was they were just worried about protecting individual freedoms. Remember, they were afraid of a country like Great Britain being so powerful and not giving them their freedoms, and so that was their concern. Hence why they wanted the Bill of Rights. So that led them to fight for the Bill of Rights. And again, the Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, and that's where you get a lot of your individual freedoms from. So your right to free speech, your right to a jury, those all come because of the Bill of Rights. So ratification of the Constitution. Ratification means to pass. So in order to pass the Constitution, the states had to agree to it. And that would end the Articles of Confederation and begin the U.S. Constitution. But they had to get both the Anti-Federalists and the Federalists to agree to the Constitution in order for it to pass. So they had to get Anti-Federalists and Federalists to agree. And the one way they could do that is by adding in the Bill of Rights. So in order to get them to all agree, they added the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights was a written guarantee of individual freedom because of this, the Anti-Federalists supported the Constitution. So once the Federalists agreed to add the Bill of Rights, the Anti-Federalist says, okay, now we're not as worried about a strong central government because we as individuals have rights and have our freedoms that are guaranteed to us because of this document. So the Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. And it's going to offer protection for individual freedom. Some examples of that is religion and speech, also the right to due process, and, as we see in this picture, the right to a trial by a jury of your peers. Now, here is a simplified version of your Bill of Rights. To freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly means to gather, and petition means to peacefully protest. The right to keep and bear arms in order to maintain a well-regulated militia. So bear arms is to own a gun. No quartering of soldiers. So this goes back to the Revolutionary War when they forced soldiers to live in the houses. So you cannot force individuals hold on. We're going to write this again. So they cannot force individuals to have soldiers stay in their house. During the Revolutionary War, the British used to make soldiers, or make people, allow people to have soldiers stay in their house, even if they didn't want to. Freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures. The right to due process of law, freedom from self-incrimination and double jeopardy, so they cannot charge you with the same crime twice, and you don't have to testify against you. So this is what yourself. So this when you hear, I plead the fifth, this is what they're talking about. I don't have to say anything against myself. 6, the rights of accused persons or a right to a speedy and public trial. 7, the right to a trial by jury in civil cases. 8, freedom from excessive bail, cruel and unusual punishment. 9, other rights of the people. And 10, powers reserved to the states. So the last two here. So 9 could talk about marriage, like marriage is never in the Constitution, but it's something that we have the right to do. So that would be other rights of the people. 10, powers were reserved to the states would be things like getting like a license, whether it be a driver's license or a teaching license or even a law license. That might vary from state to state.